violent exchanges of Asian stock markets. WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and on the show today, Donald Trump's scandal-plagued pick has won the Texas primary for the Republican Party, sparking questions on whether Donald Trump is actually picking candidates based on their loyalty at the cost of their electability. And in the Indian state of West Bengal, there is more trouble for Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool Congress, as Dr. Kakoli Ghosh Dastidar, a four-time Lok Sabha Member of Parliament from Barasit and a long-time close ally of Mamata Banerjee, is now quit from all organizational posts. But let's of course start with this big story from the United States of America, where another congressional candidate backed by the US President Donald Trump has won the Senate primary. This time, the story is, of course, from Texas, where the incumbent Senator John Cornyn has now ceded to his Republican political rival, Ken Paxton. In his concession speech, the Texas senator has said that he'll back the Republican face contesting in the upcoming midterm elections to keep his party in power for generations to come. Now, Cornyn himself is a four-term senator whose congressional run will now come to an end.
After a public service career lasting more than 4 decades and 18 consecutive campaign wins, tonight we've come up short in this primary runoff. In this runoff election, approximately 8% of registered voters made their voices heard. And of that 8% who voted, roughly 60% said they were ready for a different direction. Another reminder that those who show up decide for those who do not.
So the winning candidate is the Texas attorney Ken Paxton, who received Trump's endorsement despite a scandal surrounding the Republican leader. The supporters of Ken Paxton have called him a fighter for the conservatives and have also noted that it is Trump's backing that had helped him secure the Senate candidacy.
And then there's one person who I think you might know, President Donald J. Trump. When everyone in Washington told him to abandon me and abandon the people of Texas, he didn't listen. Instead, he gave his complete and total endorsement. President Trump is the leader of our party, and his endorsement in this is the most powerful force in politics. And I'm honored to have his support, and I look forward to working with him in the Senate to deliver for Texas.
The younger 63-year-old Ken Paxton will now face off against his 37-year-old Democrat rival James Tallarico in an intense battle for the control of the U.S. Congress during the midterm elections. All right, now tell us more as to why this primary was so crucial. We are joined in this broadcast by our correspondent Susan Tehrani, who's joining us live from New York. Susan, tell us why this Texas primary for the Republican Party was so crucial, and the fact that Donald Trump's backing seems to be working. That means the core Republican MAGA base is not really that unhappy with Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's a very interesting dynamic where, for the most part, Americans are dissatisfied with his policies when we judge from polling numbers. But then when they have an option to go back to more established and non-MAGA Republicans, overwhelmingly, we've seen in numerous cases that Republicans do vote for candidates that are backed by Donald Trump and his policy. So the MAGA movement and his control over the Republican Party is very much alive. He started to endorse Paxton only about 2 or 3 weeks ago, very late in the primary against Cornyn, who was, portrayed as being an established old school Republican. And Paxton really went after him despite the scandals that he was facing in his home state regarding aid to Ukraine, regarding some of the votes that he did with gun control after that shooting in Uvalde, Texas, and just generally his anti-Trump comments, and voters resonated with that. It's very crucial because it also, we saw that now if Cook County poll is not only saying that Texas is going to possibly become Republican in the Senate, now it's changed its assessment after Paxton's win to leaning completely Republican in the midterm elections. So there was a lot on the line.
Interesting. Susan, do continue to stay on with us. I want you to weigh in on another crucial story from the United States. So the American President Donald Trump hosted Flavio Bolsonaro at the White House. He, remember, is the son of the former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, who in the past had received backing from Donald Trump. Jair Bolsonaro was also called the Trump of the tropics. Now, the younger Bolsonaro posted an image of himself standing next to the American president at the Oval Office, and the Brazilian leader, who's also a presidential hopeful in the upcoming elections, has now urged the United States to designate 2 organized crime gangs in his country to be terrorist groups. Interestingly, Brazil's incumbent president Lula da Silva has also discussed a combined fight against organized gangs during his Washington visit earlier in the month. Now, both leaders had touted their bilateral as a quote-unquote great and a satisfactory meeting. But Trump is also known to have shown support for Lula's political rival and the former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro. The American leader had slammed Brazil's authorities and even the top leadership for a quote-unquote a witch hunt to jail the former president. Jair Bolsonaro was facing charges of plotting a coup after losing the 2022 elections, for which he was given a 27-year prison sentence. But the former president is now serving his penance under house arrest due to health issues. Now, on his son's part, Flavio Bolsonaro's Washington visit also has come at a time when his presidential bid has taken a bit of a beating after the conservative candidate received campaign money from a disgraced banker. It appears that the presidential candidate is now seeking to boost his approval ratings at home with a timed meeting with Donald Trump. Whether or not that works in his favor is, of course, the big question. And our correspondent Susan Tehrani is still with us from New York. Susan, Jair Bolsonaro, someone who is called the Trump of the tropics, he was a big fan of Donald Trump and he got along really well. Tell us the dynamic between Flavio Bolsonaro, because at this moment, Lula da Silva, although he met Donald Trump, is not exactly a big fan of Donald Trump, so to put it. So how does that dynamic play out with Flavio Bolsonaro?
Yeah, 2 very different candidates. Of course, Lula being completely left-leaning, and then you have Flavio Bolsonaro, the son of Jair Bolsonaro, as you mentioned, meeting with President Trump and posting that picture. It was interesting that when reporters asked him whether or not Donald Trump endorsed him, he said, "We only talked about the designation of terrorists regarding those gangs." But nonetheless, that does come across as an endorsement. The question is whether or not meeting with Donald Trump and the steps that he's taking right now to sort of fight organized crime is going to be enough to bring his numbers up. It appears that he's not doing very well in Brazil.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Susan Tehrani, for joining us with those updates there. All right, let's now shift our attention to what is happening in India, the crucial state of West Bengal, where the TMC suffered a crushing defeat in the recently concluded assembly polls. But trouble still continues to mount for the All India Trinamool Congress in the state. In a major blow to the party, Dr. Kakoli Ghosh Dastidhar, a 4-term Lok Sabha Member of Parliament from Barasat, and long-time close ally of Mamata Banerjee, has now quit from the all organizations of her party. Her resignation has now exposed the widening rift within the party. On the 15th of May, she was removed as the TMC's Lok Sabha chief whip and was replaced by Kalyan Banerjee, sparking immediate speculation about internal party friction. She later resigned as the Barasat Organizational District Presidential, taking moral responsibility for TMC's defeat. The TMC lost in 5 out of the 7 assembly segments in her region. The Kakoli Ghosh Dastidhar on Tuesday defied party lines to attend an administrative meeting chaired by the newly sworn-in BJP Chief Minister Suvendu Adhikari. In a strongly worded resignation letter, Dr. Ghosh Dastidhar openly targeted the party's leadership, governance failures and also some internal environment. In the 2024 general elections, TMC secured 29 seats but currently holds 28 active seats. Now, the Basirhat Lok Sabha seat is currently vacant following the death of its elected lawmaker Haji Sheikh Nurul Islam. Now, the party's troubles haven't ended here. According to reports, TMC councillors in several municipalities have resigned in groups, while many have reportedly stopped attending offices. Now, reports say that at least about 100 councillors have stepped down. Trinamool Congress chief Mamata Banerjee called for unity in the party as it witnessed mass exodus of its councillors. In a separate incident, a TMC MLA from West Bengal's South Chobis Pargana district was arrested in Odisha's Puri. Bishnupur MLA Dilip Mondal is accused of making provocative remarks. Now, the arrest has come just days after a video of Mondal went viral on social media in which he was heard reportedly issuing threats to workers and supporters of West Bengal's BJP and also making some pretty provocative remarks. The newly elected Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Vijay met with the Indian Prime Minister in New Delhi with a host of state-specific demands in tow. Now, Vijay met the Prime Minister at Seva Tirth and also visited the Tamil Nadu House in Delhi, where he received a guard of honour. The TVK chief met with the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. He is also scheduled to meet with President Draupadi Murmu, a key union minister and senior Congress leaders. Now, during his meeting with the Prime Minister, Vijay raised a range of issues concerning defence projects, federal rights, education, among others. He submitted a memorandum seeking higher central funds, faster project clearances and support for Tamil Nadu's key infrastructure needs. While talks have been ongoing with the Defence Research and Development Organisation for the last few years regarding the establishment of the AMCA design, Chief Minister Vijay has renewed the request for the establishment of the Centre for Airborne Systems Facility, a unit under DRDO in the state. Vijay has also opposed Karnataka's Mekedatu Dam project across the Kaveri River. He's also urged safety of Tamil Nadu fishermen, citing alleged harassment by the Sri Lankan Navy. Vijay has also raised concerns regarding protocol over the state song Tamil Thai Varalde. This comes amidst a political row which erupted in Tamil Nadu when the state's invocation song was relegated to the 3rd position and was played after Vande Mataram and the national anthem. Now, Vijay assumed office as the chief minister on the 10th of May after his party TVK emerged as the single largest party in the assembly elections that were held in April. TVK had won a total of 108 seats in the 234-member assembly. Let's now shift our attention to what is happening in Turkey. This is what the scene is like at this moment, where political tensions have spilled onto the streets again as thousands of the opposition supporters gathered in the western city of Izmir. These developments have come after a court ruling removed the opposition leader Ozgur Özel from his position. That has also triggered clashes with the police and has raised fresh concerns about the state of affairs in the nation. The water cannons, tear gas and angry crowds. That was the scene in Turkey's opposition stronghold of Izmir as supporters of the Republican People's Party, or the CHP, took to the streets in support of the ousted party leader Özgür Özel. The hundreds of demonstrators in fact marched towards a central square while police moved in to disperse the crowd, deploying water cannons as the protesters chanted slogans and also waved party flags, where some pretty dramatic scenes unfolded in Turkey. Now, the unrest follows a court decision that overturned the results of the CHP's 2023 party Congress, the election that brought Özel to power. The ruling reinstated the former party chief Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, who led the opposition for more than a decade and then lost the 2023 presidential election to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The court cited the alleged irregularities and vote-buying claims linked to the leadership contest. Özel and his supporters strongly reject these allegations and have accused the judiciary of interfering in the party's internal affairs. Now, the confrontation escalated further in Ankara, where riot police stormed the CHP headquarters in an effort to remove the party's ousted leadership. The CHP says that the actions are in fact part of a broader campaign that is aimed at weakening Turkey's main opposition force. Despite the pressure, Özel has vowed not to step aside. Now, thousands in number later on gathered at a separate rally approved by the local authorities, where Özel addressed the supporters from the top of a bus.
From this moment until the danger is gone, and until the decision on who will lead the Republican People's Party is made by members of the Republican People's Party, not the judicial branches of the Justice and Development Party, I am in this building, I am in my office, and I am not going anywhere.
The political crisis has come at a very sensitive moment, with the CHP running neck and neck with Erdogan's ruling AK party. As tensions continue to rise, the battle for the future of Turkey's main opposition movement appears to be gaining more and more momentum.
Dünya barışı ve istikrarına önem veren
Venezuela's interim leadership is preparing for a major shake-up. The interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has announced a sweeping government restructuring that is aimed at reshaping the administration for what she calls a new reality in the nation. The move comes as the country is now pushing economic reforms and is seeking to attract some fresh investments. A new government for a new Venezuela, that's the message from the acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, who has unveiled a major restructuring plan designed to overhaul the country's administration and to improve the efficiency of public services during a cabinet meeting at the presidential palace. Delcy Rodriguez announced the creation of a special commission.
In one of them, I am appointing Sectoral Vice President Hector Rodriguez as Presidential Commissioner for the restructuring and re-engineering of the government, a new government structure adapted to this new reality of Venezuela, to a Venezuela that is being reborn.
The Commission is tasked with redesigning the structure of the government and also adapting it to the country's changing political and economic landscape. The initiative is expected to deliver recommendations within the next 90 days.
Within a period of 90 days, they will present this Council of Ministers with a conclusive proposal on what the restructuring and the new re-engineering of the government should be.
To lead the effort, Rodriguez also appointed the Education Minister and senior political figure Hector Rodriguez as Commissioner for the government restructuring. The announcement has come at a very crucial moment for Venezuela, since assuming power earlier this year after the removal of the former President Nicolas Maduro. Rodriguez has already replaced large sections of the cabinet and military leadership, while she also has advanced economic reforms that are aimed at opening key sectors to the investment. Her administration has also pushed measures intended to modernize the oil industry and to attract foreign capital, as the country is attempting to stabilize its economy. For now, though, the focus is on what this new restructuring plan will actually deliver. With a 90-day deadline now in place, all eyes will be on whether the proposed reforms can translate into a more productive government and will help chart a new course for Venezuela's future. In Scotland, the former SNP chief executive Peter Murrell has admitted to embezzling over $500,000 from the party between August 2010 and October 2022. The Murrell is in fact the estranged husband of the former First Minister of Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon, and the newly released court documents give out details as to how the former SNP chief had spent the embezzled party funds. The former SNP chief has now pleaded guilty in court to a 12-year campaign of theft from his own party funds. The court documents show the expense list runs to more than 600 items, ranging from some modest purchases to some pretty high-end luxury products. The Murrell used the stolen cash to buy a $167,000 motorhome and a $76,000 Jaguar. He spent about $13,000 on high-end watches, including 2 Bremonts with world time functions. Now, Murrell also apparently spent about $20,000 on prestigious Mont Blanc pens, featuring John F. Kennedy and the Beatles branding, along with white gold nibbed Star Walker fountain pen that he was very fond of writing. The party also paid the bill for his wardrobe. Murrell charged more than $2,100 for footwear. This included Timberland loafers and Skechers and an additional $560 just for the racks to store them. Now, the bulk of the list consists of ordinary, unglamorous household goods. Murrell charged the SNP for 2 toilet seats, 3 $40 toilet brushes and a $4 shower cleaner. He spent over $630 on bird feeders and a squirrel-scared device for his garden. Now, shockingly, Murrell even used party funds for entertainment and personal electronics. Now, these included buying video consoles, games and 3-box sets of the Danish political TV drama Borgen. In his final year of theft, he added 2 electric toothbrushes worth about $270 each and a Folio Society copy of the Book of the Origins of Totalitarians. He even charged a $40 parking fine to the party. Now, all of this happened while Murrell's wife, Nicola Sturgeon, was running the nation. Even as Sturgeon vehemently has denied any knowledge of this embezzlement, critics are now questioning how hundreds of luxury items entered the household completely noticed by the First Minister. The tensions, in fact, escalated in Nepal's parliament after the opposition and the ruling party lawmakers engaged in a verbal spat over the absence of Prime Minister Balendra Shah from the House proceedings. The clashes escalated on Tuesday after the ruling Rashtriya Swatantrata Party lawmaker Jagdish Kharel described the ongoing obstruction by the opposition as a drama. Following his remarks, Nepali Congress lawmaker Narendra Kumar became visibly enraged and moved towards the front of the chamber, pointing fingers at Kharel and shouting in protest. The opposition lawmakers were furious over Kharel's aggressive remarks and his criticism of the opposition protests. The Nepali Congress chief Basanta Thapa also accused Prime Minister Balen Shah of moving ahead with what she described as the arrogance of the majority. The Thapa claimed that the government had failed to make Parliament and parliamentary committees effective, and the opposition lawmakers have accused Balendra Shah of avoiding parliamentary accountability, noting that he has not appeared in the House since leaving during the President's presentation of the government's policies and programs. The House Speaker Dol Prasad Ariel has assured that Prime Minister Balen Shah is preparing to appear in the Parliament and respond to the issues. However, he did not mention a specific date or time for the event. And our correspondent Saloni Murarka has been tracking the story very closely for us and has sent us this report from Kathmandu. Listen in.
Political tensions continue to escalate inside Nepal's parliament as opposition parties protest over Prime Minister Balendra Shah's absence in the House. This protest has entered its 3rd week. During the last House proceedings, there were heated exchanges between the ruling lawmakers and opposition lawmakers, disrupting the House proceedings and deepening the ongoing deadlock. The opposition parties accused Prime Minister Shah of avoiding parliamentary accountability after he failed to appear in the House following President's address on the government's policies and programs. The Speaker of the House, however, has said that the Prime Minister will soon address the concerns raised by the lawmakers in the House, but no fixed timeline has been announced yet. And sources told WION that Prime Minister Bolin will address the House within this week, during which he will talk about Nepal government's foreign affairs and domestic affairs. I'm Saloni Murarka, reporting for WION from Kathmandu, Nepal.
And that's all the time we have in this edition of Race to Power. This is Mohammed Saleh signing off. Thanks for watching.
WION asks what matters. The question the world wanted answered.
We're having a lot of racist comments coming from the United States against Indian Americans. So this would against the basic rights of India-US relationship. What's your take on that?
Look, I'm sure that there are people that have made comments online and other places because every country in the world has stupid people. I'm sure there are stupid people here. There are stupid people in the United States that make dumb comments.
One question, one exchange, global reactions. When WION asks, the world follows. Get the WION edge.
In West Asia, every move shifts the world's balance. Wars, ceasefires, alliances, power never stands still. From Tehran to Tel Aviv, from Damascus to Doha, the West Asia Post cuts through the chaos to reveal the region that shapes the world. Because what happens in West Asia never stays in West Asia. This is the West Asia Post, the region's story, the world's impact.
Get the latest updates.
Destroy their
Breaking
missiles
news.
and raise their...
Credible, clear, continuous. Experts across aisles. Diverse voices, one platform. WION World is one. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION. World is one.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
And welcome back. Thanks very much for staying on with us. You're watching WION Fine Print. I'm Molly Gambhir. Let's start off with a quick look at the top stories making headlines. The White House says the report from the Iranian-controlled media